Yes, we all know how fond of Twitter Donald Trump is. And usually you can tell that his tweets come just after, Fox and Friends or Tucker Carlson, and he actually tags them in it. Well, they like making fun of Donald Trump over on Saturday Night Live, and Trump responded. He tweeted, presumably the following morning, "Nothing funny about tired Saturday Night Live on fake news NBC. Question is, how do the networks get away with these total Republican hit jobs without retribution? Likewise for many other shows. Very unfair and should be looked into. This is the real collusion." What did Trump mean by this? First, let's try and break down the tweet before looking at the partisan view of what's going on, because I think the left is kind of crazy on how they've approached this. I don't want to say the left, but certainly there is fake news trying to misrepresent what he said. I'll tell you exactly how I see this tweet. Nothing funny about tired Saturday Night Live on fake news NBC. Sure, whatever. Trump doesn't find something funny. That's his opinion. How do the networks get away with these total Republican hit jobs without retribution? Likewise for many other shows. Okay. Trump is talking about how on various networks, the coverage of, smears against Republicans, they're frequent. Very unfair and should be looked into. What does that mean, should be looked into? It can mean a bunch of things. The last thing I think it means is there should be an investigation by any official capacity. To me, it sounds like maybe a study, maybe a news report, maybe someone just looks into, and shows financing or something. Actually kind of simple. But how do they frame it? Well, I think Jermaine Clement's funny, said, do a sketch where you play Alec Baldwin. That's actually, he should do it. That'd be great. But let's just jump to the New York Daily News. Now, keeping in mind what Trump said. Here we go. President Trump repeats his call for investigation into Saturday Night Live because TV show makes fun of him. What? How did you get that headline from that tweet from Trump? First of all, people, they love taking things Trump says and stretching them to a ridiculous degree. And this is why I am no fan of Alex Jones and how I've described Alex Jones in the past. But you know what they like to do? They do the same thing to me. Someone once asked me if I thought Alex Jones makes things up. And my response was a nuanced that, or at least my aim, I maybe misspoke, but my understanding, how I try to convey what Alex Jones does is that he finds things from other people and then stretches it to such an extreme degree. Like what's a good example? Making turning the frogs gay. Hyperbolic. Okay. He's talking about atrazine. People have sent me studies, talking about whether or not it actually does disrupt endocrine systems as frogs. There's nuance there. But Alex Jones, he comes on and he goes, So what does Trump do? Trump tweets that something should be looked into. What does that mean? Nothing. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how you interpret it, I guess. How does the Daily News put it out? That Trump wants an investigation of Saturday Night Live when Trump was clearly mentioning other shows and networks. And yes, there is a bias in many of these networks. That's not even disputed. That's actually a fact. We have Pew Research showing us that especially in media jobs, they're overwhelmingly liberal and increasingly becoming liberal. Here's what they say. It's another emergency for Donald Trump. The president has once again called for the NBC sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live to be investigated for making fun of him. But he quite literally didn't do that. He literally did not do that. He mentions that Saturday Night Live does another hit piece. Then he talks about other networks and shows. They even show the quote. Question is, how do the networks, in caps? Fewer than 9 hours prior to the president's outburst, SNL opened with actor Alec Baldwin mocking a rambling Friday press conference in which Trump declared, among other things, that the need for a wall on America's southern border is an emergency. Now, I would just like to point something out about SNL. Alec Baldwin pretending to be Trump and rambling, not a joke. I mean, it is a joke, I guess. It's not funny. You ever see those movies like Epic Movie and Scary Movie and Romantic Movie or whatever, the clear parody satirical movies? Those aren't funny, to me at least, because all they do is pop culture references. It's like, instead of a joke, they'll be like, hey, guess what? Donald Trump. And then everyone goes, yeah, and they start clapping and cheering. It's like, yeah, I get it. We know who Donald Trump is. It's lowbrow humor. So, okay, it is a joke. It is meant to be comedy, but it's lazy, in my opinion, okay? All they do on Saturday Night Live is say, oh, something happened with Trump. Let's just reenact it and say silly things. And more importantly, I think Alec Baldwin possibly has the worst impression of Donald Trump. It doesn't even make sense. All they do is make, hey, I guess that's television. I guess these are the same people who watch Big Bang Theory, a show I absolutely detest. But I will recommend this. Watch the YouTube videos of Big Bang Theory without the laugh track, and Friends without the laugh track, and then you're just like, man, this show really is bad. But let's read on. They show his tweet twice. Baldwin took the criticism in stride, tweeting, "Trump whines, the parade moves on." This is not the first time Trump has suggested SNL, a comedy program that has mimicked every president since the show debuted in 1975, should be looked into. But what does that mean? It's such a vague statement on Trump's part. You can't really take anything from it. After the show aired, a Christmas time It's a Wonderful Life parody that imagined a world in which Trump never became president, he questioned the legality of the unfair news coverage he was getting. Now, I don't know exactly what Trump is referring to specifically. I will say this. There are, equal airtime requirements in a sense. I think this has to do more with campaigning, and if one politician is granted airtime, then they have to grant equal, airtime to their opponent. And this is because they essentially act as like in-kind donations. Giving someone publicity is something people typically pay for. I don't know the exact details, but the idea that you could take here. Let's be real. Let's be real. This is a tweet that says almost nothing other than Trump doesn't like unfair coverage. It really doesn't mean anything. They should be looked into is so incredibly vague and means nothing. This is the real collusion. I get it. Trump's upset that the media doesn't like him. Well, there you go. That's a free press. Too bad. But let's take a look at how the Daily Wire covers it. So we've seen the Daily News, which wants to insinuate that Trump is calling for an investigation. However, they got that. Well, the Daily Wire, let's see if they're more reasonable on this. Trump lashes out at SNL after Alec Baldwin sketch accuses network of collusion. SNL took aim at President Donald Trump's national emergency declaration Saturday night, and the president himself noticed. In the show's cold open, actor Alec Baldwin made a return appearance as the president giving a press conference on the White House lawn, declaring a national emergency over the border wall. "I'm here to declare a very urgent, important national emergency," Baldwin said, in character as Trump. "This is a big one, so I don't want to waste any time, but first I'd like to blow my own horn." I gotta say too, though, that unscripted press conference was all over the place. I eventually just, you know what? I'm not going to listen anymore. I'll just wait until someone tweets that Trump made the national emergency declaration. And that's what I did. Baldwin then launched into a tirade about the president's recent wellness checkup, embellishing the president's health stats and calling himself shredded. The actor closed with another impression of Trump. "We need walls because wall works," he said. "Wall makes safe. You don't have to be smart to understand that. In fact, it's even easier if you're not. I'm going to sign these papers for the emergency, then okay, we get it. They made fun of him. Then I'll call my buddy Kavanaugh. Then I'll say it's time to repay the Donnie, and he'll say, new phone, who this?" It's really funny that they think that Kavanaugh is going to immediately defend Trump when Kavanaugh's actually sided on the liberal court many times over abortion issues recently. It wasn't great, but it was the first of several jabs at Trump throughout the show, with guest host Don Cheadle sending his own message to the president in the form of two shirts, one reading "Protest Trans Kids" and another a hockey jersey with the Russian initials for the USSR, CCCP, on the front, and Trump 45 printed on the back. So, I mean, this is actually a really tepid take on that. Is that it? So, okay. Wow. Okay, Cheadle, of course, is no stranger to the resistance. He's an open critic. So the Daily Wire... Did I call the Daily Mail? The Daily Wire put together a rather straightforward news piece about what happened with almost no opinion. It's really fascinating to me to hear about all these media organizations that are failing. And then I look over at the Daily Wire and they're getting something like 5 times the amount of traffic on Facebook than the leading left-wing source. Then we can look at the legacy New York Daily News, which apparently people have said is tabloid trash. So I've seen that repeated, and I didn't know that. So maybe that's the case. I don't even know if Daily News. I'm also told they're more liberal and left leaning. They editorialize and exaggerate what's happening, and the Daily Wire just kind of gives us a breakdown. There's my news assessment of it. They just show his tweet, and then that's it. The full display left the president seething Sunday morning. Trump tweeted directly at SNL asking why Republicans were fair game on the show, but Democrats, who've had a pretty lousy 2 weeks, were left almost entirely untouched. Not too much opinion, kind of dry. Wow. maybe this actually does say something to Trump's point. We know that the media overwhelmingly takes a slant. And you know what? That's my next video. The video I'm making for 4 p.m. is the gaslighting of the Jussie Smollett story. They're now trying to claim on CNN and other activists that the media didn't falsely report. But guess what? The Jussie Smollett story is Covington all over again. It is. The media was pushing. It's not activists. It was journalists. I do air quotes, journalists. So anyway, there you go. What a stupid bit of nonsense. But I don't know. I want to talk about it because it's like another example of how the media frames things. And it's kind of a lead into the next story I'm doing on my main channel, youtube.com/timcast. Stick around. I will see you in a couple hours.